It's Monday, April 27, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. As we get closer to the Google-Apple team-up API that could be hitting our phones soon, they've made an announcement about some changes to address security concerns for the public. And SpaceX has announced a successful test firing of their Starship rocket with another test on the way. We'll let you know what this means for the future of Elon Musk's plans to send humans to Mars. Plus, we'll have our photography editor, Davin Matthews, covering the latest camera gear like the Canon EOS R5, which can now shoot in 8K. But do you need it? Davin will let us know his thoughts. And the wait is over for part 2 of our interview with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. On today's episode, we'll talk more about Hit Record and the launch of their 6-part documentary, and he'll also let you know which artist he wants to collaborate with. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. All broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're at, you can join in the conversations we get to have. Thank you to everybody who's joining us today. I know you're probably all very excited for the Joseph Gordon-Levitt interview that's coming up. We've got Kevin Alejandro on the show. But to start off, let's bring you up to date with some trending news. And that's what we like to do here as we kick each episode off. And right now, let's talk about this Apple and Google team up. So in case you were unaware, Apple and Google have collaborated, joined forces to create a way to back up contact tracing. So we're going to talk about what that means here. But essentially what it is this team up is actually speeding along a lot faster. We're getting word, and we talked about this a little bit last week, getting word that this could be rolling out here in this next week. To where essentially you'd have cross-platform collaboration with both iPhones and Android. And this would allow for the development of different apps that would be able to trace where you have been in contact with, trace who you've been in contact with. So here's what the deal is. If this happens, Bluetooth essentially would be used, and it would ping other phones as you go near them within a certain distance or range. And then down the line, if someone were to test positive for COVID-19, they could use that person's app to then go back through and ping everybody that they've come in contact with to say, hey, you came near somebody. And it's called contact tracing. We've seen this used in different countries actually worldwide have been doing it. South Korea has been doing it. Australia's got it going. Singapore, I believe, is working on it too. And Europe is actually getting ready to take some of this. Some of the concerns have been about security and privacy because you're sending out information. Google and Apple both addressed this, saying that there will be no personalized information that would be used. They wouldn't even be delivering what model of phone someone uses. It would just be whether this person who is using the app had been in contact with anybody. So the app would be developed ideally by local governments is what they want. They said that they have some basic ones that governments could use if they don't want to develop their own. And then the local government, whoever that would be in charge of that so that they would have that information. Again, they're saying no personal information, but then they could go back through and ping everybody. They're also changing it up, though, because contact tracing has been something that a lot of people have been not really excited with that term. They did change the name to exposure notification. So that is what they're calling this, exposure notification. But that is something that we could be seeing coming very soon. We do see Europe is preparing for it probably before the U.S. is even going to be ready for it. Germany just making an announcement that they're going to be going with this. So something that you're going to be hearing more and more about over the next coming weeks. And we've got a full details at digitaltrends.com. You can go there and find out more information as you want about it, but just keeping you up to date with that. Speaking of that, with updates, we know that new products do still need to come out, and certainly Apple with their iPhones is something that we expect in September every year. That's about when they make their announcement for their new iPhones. And right now, it does sound like that production is going to be delayed. This is coming from a report from the Wall Street Journal. So far, we had thought maybe they would be on pace. It looks like about a month right now, and this, again, is come from the Wall Street Journal. This isn't from Apple themselves. Apple usually holds this kind of information pretty close to the chest. But they're saying that with these phones, some would be with 5G connectivity. We do know this would be what most likely the first iPhone with 5G connectivity. There's 3 different sizes they were talking about, 5.4 inch, 2 different 6.1 inch, 6.7, probably all different, matters of iPhone 12 Plus or Pro, depending on what they go with the naming, and OLED screens. But with that, they are delaying production because of some issues going on in China. So you're going to see that as of right now, it sounds like maybe more towards the end of October, even into November, which is certainly a delay on Apple. But so far, so good as far as the production still going forward. But that's something you can read more about, again, at digitaltrends.com. Continue on here with some trending news for you to keep you up to date with what is happening. WhatsApp users. There's about 200 million WhatsApp users that are out there right now. And one of the things that they did in order to help constrain the spread of misinformation is stop the ability to forward messages to tons and tons of people. And it looks like this is paying off. They've made a report saying that they've seen a 70% decline in the spread of misinformation and these forwards on their platform. So for those of you who are on WhatsApp a lot, you know what the forwards are. This limited it to where one person could only send it to a person or one group and not keep on proliferating it and spreading it around, which is how a lot of, I said 200 million, I meant 2 billion. Excuse me on that number. Let me just correct that. It's a little bit bigger than that. 2 billion users of WhatsApp. That's the 70% decline is what they're seeing in these frequently forwarded messages. So it does look like it's paying off as far as stopping the spread of misinformation. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with some trending news, let's talk about Tesla. Right? Electric vehicles. Tesla is always at the forefront of that. And a couple of things with them. One thing is that they are saying they're looking towards reopening their Fremont, California plant. Now, this is the production facility that they held out for a while, even though there's a quarantine order in effect in California that's going on till, I believe it's officially till May 2nd, but they're looking to start up operations even sooner. And that's something that would be technically in violation of what's going on there, but Tesla is saying that they are looking to call back in employees to get started on producing. Now, with that, there's also another announcement from them saying that for those of you that do have a Tesla, there's going to be an update rolling out that will now allow Tesla vehicles on autopilot to automatically stop for traffic lights and stop signs. So this is something that they didn't have before, but it's going to be able to read the actual traffic lights. It'll be able to tell you what the light is. It'll know whether it's red, whether it's green, whether it's yellow, and it will be able to slow down and stop. It'll slow the vehicle down and stop for those. You'll also be able to overcome that if you want to with the accelerator pedal, but something new for that as they go towards full autonomy. This is certainly an important step for them, so you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com as well. Again, giving you a lot of news here really quick, but this is what we want to do is just make sure you're up to date on what's going on. SpaceX, going from Tesla to SpaceX, let's talk about that. They are making a lot of news today for a very successful test firing that they just had of one of their rockets. So this is the Starship rocket, and this is the rocket that is ultimately intended to take people to Mars. As we all know, Elon Musk and SpaceX, their goal is to get humans to Mars, and so far the testing has not gone really great on these giant Starship rockets, but that's why you test things. Now they have successfully carried one out, which means that up next, it sounds like there could be another test later this week. So they finally got over a pressure test that has failed before. Now they're going to go to a static fire test, which means they're going to actually fire the thing up, see what happens, and then if that works, the next step is a 150-meter hop, where they'd have it actually get up and kind of hop. So that's a big move there when it comes to this. And SpaceX does tend to move, when something goes right, they tend to move very quickly. And so we'll have to see where this goes. But that, again, is part of the ultimate goal of getting people to Mars. Before that, they've got to get people to space. And that's coming up in May, where they're going to be actually sending some astronauts with a different rocket up to the International Space Station. But looking further ahead, someday we'll go to Mars, maybe on those starships. And finally, speaking of stars, let's talk about some entertainment. And Disney Plus making an announcement that The Rise of Skywalker, which has been out for purchase and video on demand, is going to be actually coming to Disney Plus way sooner than they originally planned. So soon, and in fact, it's going to be on May the 4th. Yes, the unofficial or official Star Wars Day, May the 4th, is going to be when Disney's going to put The Rise of Skywalker onto their platform. They'll also be launching their Mandalorian behind-the-scenes series. So a big thing, big push for that. And what this means is every Disney movie, or every Star Wars movie, will be available in 4K. So obviously upscale for some of the older stuff, but available in 4K on the platform, except for Solo. Solo's still on Netflix, so it'll be a little while before you get that one, but that is what we're looking at right there. So again, Disney Plus bringing Rise of Skywalker to their platform sooner than expected, so you can get your Star Wars fix there. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
All right, so here is our product of the day. All right, we're broadcasting live. Thanks, everybody. The product is this. It's the Hisense 65-inch class LED H6500 F-Series television. Yes, a 65-inch TV. Now, we talked about 4K content before. This is what you need to do that. It's 4K, but it's not just 4K. It's ultra high def. It's also has HDR. So it's got all the acronyms that you want when you're going to get a new television. The 4K, the UHD, the HDR, very important right there. If you haven't seen an HDR television, it's pretty phenomenal what they can do. It's also got a 120 motion rate, which means if you're watching, well, sports are kind of out of the question right now, unless you're watching some old stuff. You know, maybe watch them about the Bulls. That would be a good way to do it. But if you're playing video games, this removes a lot of that motion blur that happens. It's also got DTS Studio sound, which actually boosts the sound a bit. It's got Bluetooth. It's got 3 HDMI connections. It's got pretty much everything you would need. It's also Google Assistant enabled, so you can have that ready to go. And the way you take advantage of this deal is by that link that is right there on your screen. So what you want to do is type that in or copy and paste it, however you want to do it, and click that link. So the deal is this. It is $100 off right now. This is normally $499. It's on sale for $399 as of right this moment. Obviously, you want to click the link to go through the rest of the details on it, but nice addition that you could have for your house. 64.5-inch screen. So it's a pretty nice television. 4K UHD HDR. Again, got all the acronyms that you need. And so that is the product of the day. Again, that's the Hisense 65-inch deal. So click that link and take advantage of that now. All right, thank you everybody for joining us wherever you are. Again, we appreciate it. We're broadcasting live like we do every single day. And coming up next, live here on the show, we're going to have Kevin Alejandro. So writer, director, actor, you know him from so many different things. He's going to be joining us to talk about his new movie that's coming out, talking about an online film festival that's happening, what that's like, so many different things we're going to discuss, and that's coming up next. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. We broadcast live, and thank you to everybody who's joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. Appreciate it. And, of course, you can drop in your comments and questions on whatever platform you are watching on as we go through the show. And you know our next guest from so many different amazing television roles, whether it's on True Blood, on Southland, on Lucifer, which is premiering its 5th season coming up this summer. We're going to talk about that, too. But he's also debuting his new film, Adult Night, at the inaugural online Vail Film Festival. Joining us, we have Kevin Alejandro. Kevin, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And something we're asking everybody when we start off is just, how are you holding up during quarantine?
You know what? I think you'll probably get the same answer from a lot of people. I'm doing the best I can. I'm actually, it's actually been okay. I'm one of the lucky ones who gets to sit back for a little bit and sort of reevaluate how I looked at life and what's to come in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be interesting, you know, with so many different things on hold right now, especially for production, for actors. I wanted to ask just about Lucifer Season 5, which I know is going to be debuting at some point on Netflix. How did production work on that? Were you able to get it all in before quarantine kicked in?
Yeah, you know what? The formula this season that Netflix came up with is we're going to do, you know, they picked us up for 16 episodes, but they're going to split them up into 2 halves. So it'll be a 5A and a 5B sort of thing. So we have the whole first half of the season done, and we have 1 episode left of the second part of the season. So I know we're coming up soon. We just don't know exactly what date yet. But you have a lot of great things to look forward to. I got the opportunity to direct the mid-season finale, the 5A, the last episode of 5A. So I'm really looking forward to people being able to see that.
And, you know, talking about the directing side of things, too, just with Lucifer, you know, being a part of this cast for so long, what was it like when you've taken the helm before and just directing your castmates and all these people that you've worked with for so long?
Yeah, well, you know, this is my second opportunity this year. The first opportunity, I was extremely, you know, sort of nervous. I'm, you know, sort of cutting my teeth, so to speak. But I'm lucky. I'm so lucky that I got to do it with a bunch of people that I love. You know, I had a crew had a crew. I had writers. I had producers. Everyone who championed me to succeed. So that made my second time around even better, and I came in with a little bit more confidence, a stronger vision. You know, the love is there, so it makes it easy when you do it with people that you want to be with.
Nice. Well, and talking about that, you know, in directing and what a phenomenal director you're becoming, you also have coming up here for the Vail Film Festival. I want to talk about what that is too, but you have your movie Adult Night, which is going to be premiering there. Can you tell us a little bit about Adult Night and what you would want people to know going into watching it?
Yeah, Adult Night. The Vail Film Festival had to actually cancel and change their format a little bit. So they're doing an online film festival, May 15th through the 17th. I'm not sure exactly what day we're screening, but it'll be on Vimeo OTT. Subscribers, they'll be able to watch it all day long on whatever day they give us. But this is an opportunity for the audience to see Leslie Ann Brandt and myself act together in a completely different world that's not associated with Lucifer. And we, you know, I'm not sure how many people know this, but Leslie and I really get along very well and have an insane amount of chemistry. And this is the story of a couple who try to sort of spice up their life a little bit. They have 2 children, one of which was born not too long ago. They decide to go out for a date and try to spice up their lives a little bit and get convinced to join a party that happens to be a swingers party. So we pick up with them storming into the bathroom halfway through the party going, okay, let's reassess. Is this us? Is this something we want to do? And you sort of follow that journey of the relationship and how their love and the strength of their love sort of gets them through this situation, and then in the future, whatever situations may come. And it was an amazing experience.
And this is, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it was an amazing experience because I got to co-direct it with my wife, Leslie Alejandro, and produced it with Leslie Ann Brandt, myself, and you know, our production company. And it was another one of those situations, just very similar to Lucifer, that I'm making films with people that I love, and that makes all the difference in the world.
I would imagine that changes it up, you know, makes it a lot easier when you're on set with somebody like Leslie and then your wife as well. Looking at this, you know, with this online film festival style, Is this something, obviously we're all adapting to it, so that's something that everybody's changing up. But for you personally, when you're debuting a film, I know probably you're looking for audience feedback as well. Would you prefer it to debut in front of a live audience and see their reactions in real time, or online and maybe read the comments as it's being debuted?
Me personally, I like the live audience formula. I love hearing the real laughter. I love hearing the response and even the sighs if they're not into it. I like that. But as a society right now, we're so used to things like Hulu and Netflix and that sort of streaming process. So it kind of feels like the game is upped a little bit, that we've already made it. So now it's online and people are going to come. They're going to do their comments the way you would do it on Netflix, the way you would do it on Hulu, and review it that way. So it's sort of it's a cool little balance that we're all trying to get used to. But me personally, I love to hear it out loud. I love to be next to people and kind of hide myself in the corner in the back of the theater and going, oh God, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna like it? And then having it right there, right in my face.
Yeah, that's that visceral, instant reaction that you get from people. Something I wanted to ask you too, just because you've played so many iconic characters, whether it's Brother Blood and Arrow, Jesus and True Blood, Espinosa and Lucifer. Like, you've had some really amazing roles, but when it comes to graphic novels and comic books, is there any character that you, in particular, would love to play on screen?
Yeah, man. I would like. Yeah, I'm not extremely well versed in that world, but one character that I'd love to play is the Silver Surfer. I think if that was ever a possibility for someone like me to play that one, it would be a lot of fun. Only because I like to surf. So simple, strange answer.
No, that's great, actually. Yeah, Silver Surfer would be perfect, and I don't think that's been cast yet. So maybe there's something there. Well, all right. I want to say thank you. Never mind. Maybe I know too much. But I want to say thank you so much too for joining us, and for everybody out there who wants to watch Adult Night. Can you walk through how they can do it? You mentioned Vimeo, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows where to go.
Yeah. So we're there. The Vail Film Festival is still trying to work out their details, like I said earlier, but it will be one full day between the 15th and the 17th of May. And they said they are using Vimeo, and Vimeo OTT subscribers, paid subscribers will be able to view it all day long. And I think they're still selling tickets so that you can have access to their whole film stream for the festival. But like I said, it's May 15th through the 17th, and I don't have the exact day yet.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, everything's changing quick, but we know, though, that it's going to be on there. I think that's really cool, too, for people who have never got to go to the Vail Film Festival, which me included. We'll get to watch this, and sign up. That's a really cool opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here on Digital Trends Live. And stay safe. Can't wait to see the film. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thanks a lot. So that is, again, Kevin Alejandro, right here on Digital Trends Live. How great is that? Coming up here in just a little bit, we've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt also talking about what he's been doing in quarantine in his new 6-part series, the second part of that interview. But up next, we've got Davin Matthews to talk about cameras. There's a new camera that's out that you might want. It shoots in 8K, but do you need it? Davin will let us know all the details and more coming up next, so stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler again. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you're doing. Just make sure you do that. That way you get notifications when we go live. We keep you up to date on everything with great guests and talking about tech. And that is what we're going to talk about right now. There are new products that are still being announced and rolling out despite everything going on. And that includes new cameras. To talk about those right now, we have Davin Matthews joining us to cover this new Canon camera. Davin, A, thanks for being here as always. B, what is this announcement that we have?
Yeah, well, this is, it's actually like the third or fourth announcement that Canon has made about this product. So they keep sort of releasing a little nibble of information here and there. And what they released last week were a bunch of details about its video modes. So we already knew it was going to do 8K, but now we know what kind of 8K it's going to do. And it sounds very, very impressive. It'll actually shoot raw 8K. So that amounts to about 33 megapixel raw photos happening at 30 times a second, getting processed from the sensor and recorded into memory. And it's very, very impressive. I think this camera is going to be a really, really neat product when it comes out. We still don't know about the still photo side of the features at all, but it is shaping up to be by far Canon's best mirrorless camera yet. And it's really going to give Sony and Nikon a run for their money, I think. But on the other hand, the 8K is maybe not the reason to be excited about it.
Okay, I was going to ask, about the 8K side. Just to ask a couple questions really quick. For raw 8K, what kind of processing does it have in there, and how much storage can you put into this camera? Right.
Well, we don't know for sure, but people have looked at how Canon's existing 4K RAW works, and that's about 1,000 megabits per second. So they're saying that this may be probably at least 2,000 megabits per second, but 8K is actually 4 times the number of pixels as 4K. So it could be as high as 3,000 or 4,000 megabits per second. And there are some things they could do to lower that. They might do some new compression or something. We don't know yet. But it's going to be a lot of data. And, this is a professional camera. To be fair, we don't know the price yet, but we know this is going to target a high-end user. So that is something that is, for that customer, is maybe okay. Like maybe they're going to be willing to deal with that. But on the more consumer ends, I think, we're not going to see people shooting 8K RAW, even if they can't afford this camera. That's probably something they don't want to have to deal with. Now, you can also shoot not RAW, and it won't be as demanding, but it's still going to be pretty bad.
So with this again, the EOS 5, that's what we're talking about. And I want to make sure I get the details right. So 8K. When it comes to actually shooting on this, like, who is this really targeting? I mean, you mentioned it's a professional camera, which right. For sure, but are there actual productions being shot in 8K? Is there something really that you would be using this for?
There are, there's a lot of different cameras out there, in the cinema realm that can do 8K or 6K or all these other weird resolutions that exist. There isn't really one standard, but most films are still being mastered in 2K, and a lot are starting to get mastered in 4K, but especially for your special effects heavy films, it takes a long time to process those effects at higher resolutions. So a lot of those are still going to be in 2K. So even if we're shooting in 8K, really what that is about at the highest level isn't so much about then outputting all those pixels, but it does allow you to crop, it allows you to reframe, to change the look a little bit. So there are some reasons for it. And as this technology trickles down into the consumer market, I just don't think a lot of those reasons make sense anymore. And 8K has kind of become sort of like 4K was a few years ago. It's just this hot new marketing term. And it's really not going to mean you're getting a 4 times improvement in noticeable image quality. And so I think that's the thing to watch out for. There are things you can use 8K for, but it's not some sort of magic solution that's going to make your video look better.
Well, with this, since they've announced these little pieces, for the third time here for this Canon camera, do we know anything about pricing or availability, what it would actually be?
Not yet. So I think we're expecting to at least learn of all that stuff going into the summer. They've been teasing this camera for, I want to say, at least 9 months now. So it's been a while. So I think we should definitely see it this year. I don't know what kind of delays may have already happened. Maybe originally it was supposed to be announced in full right now, and maybe this was just COVID-19, taking yet another toll on a product being announced. So I don't know exactly what's going to be happening there, but I do expect, given how much they've released about it already, it shouldn't be too much longer.
All right, well, there it is. So the Canon 8K EOS R5, but still an amazing camera, regardless of the 8K side of it. And we've got articles up at Digital Trends just about this too, right? Yeah, that people can go and take a look at. And Davin, as always, I want to say thank you very much for joining us to talk about this, to keep us up to date with everything. You can find out more there, and I'm sure as soon as you get it, you'll be doing a review on it.
Yeah, hopefully. Won't be too much longer.
All right, well, Davin Matthews, thank you so much. Again, go there to digitaltrends.com to take a look at everything he just talked about and read up and stay up to date with everything in the world of photography. We're broadcasting live here, so thank you to everybody who's watching. And I know what you want to see next, though, is the second part of our Joseph Gordon-Levitt interview. So we had the first part on Friday's episode. You can find that online. You can find it at digitaltrends.com. Part 2, we get more into what Joseph Gordon-Levitt wants to talk about, and that is some things about who he would want to collaborate with, some very interesting answers and questions, what his favorite tech is. We cover all of that, so that's coming up next. So stick around. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Something just to switch gears just a little bit, I did want to ask you, we talk about tech a lot on here, and just asking you this question: is there one piece of tech that you absolutely have to have?
Let's see. How about writing? How about the written word? We don't often think about the written word.
First time we've got that answer
as a technology, but I like to think about the fact that, not that long ago, there was no such thing as writing. And then at some point, writing was invented. And you can read back, like if you look at some of the old classical, like ancient Greek stuff, they say that Socrates was like, oh, writing is going to be the end of us. Writing is like, no one's going to be good at thinking anymore because the written word is going to just put all of our thoughts into a cage. And in a way, that's probably true. The written word probably has really impacted how we think. But I'm a fan of the written word, and it's an older technology, but I it's going strong. Large adoption, not a good business model. No one seems to be making any money off the tech anymore, if they ever did. But it's a strong tech. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, definitely the large adoption rate. You are very much right on that. Yeah, it's really, really proliferated. Okay, going along those lines, something else that we've kind of been talking to people about. We're all at home right now, and I feel like a lot of people are trying to try out maybe some older things that they haven't done in a while. Whether it's baking bread or doing puzzles. I don't know how many people I know that are doing puzzles. Is there anything along those lines that you're doing since you've been quarantined?
The other day I drew for the first time in I don't know how long. And I like to fancy myself an artist of some kind, and even like not bad visually. Like I've directed some films and short films. I consider myself to have a good eye. I've always wanted to draw. I like the idea, but I never do it. I don't consider myself good at it. And so it was fun to sort of push myself, and again, hit record's good for that, because you can just go. If I was tasked with like draw something, I wouldn't know what even to draw. But so I went on hit record and we're just looking for projects something to inspire me to draw. And there's a project called 6-word stories, which are just really simple. People write a story in 6 words, and but then there's a challenge to illustrate someone else's story. So I found a 6-word story that I liked and drew an illustration of it. And it was really fun. It was really fun to draw. A little uncomfortable, because I'm used to when I go in for my creative time feeling more like confident and good at and like practiced at what I do. But drawing made me go, okay, well, I'm actually not good at this, so I have to figure out some other clever way to like make this drawing good somehow. And I think it turned out okay. I'm actually pretty proud of the drawing and had a good time doing it, more importantly than anything.
Well, I think that's awesome. So we're going from writing to drawing. I've just got like 2 more questions, and I know that you're busy, but I have to ask then about music, because I see the drum set behind you. I'm a musician too. Like, if you could collaborate to tie this all in with one musician of all time, who would it be?
Of all time?
All time. Any one of them.
Time. Oh man. I don't know. What should I say? Of all time, Louis Armstrong. How about Louis Armstrong? I bet that would just like swell up my heart. And like, if Louis Armstrong were here, if he came into my rec room, I just imagine that my smile would stay on for 2 weeks straight. Just that guy. He's just so like charming and good. And then, my boys would probably mistake him for Cookie Monster, because that, he's got that voice, that Louis Armstrong voice. So that would probably also be good. They're fans, so they'd get a kick out of meeting Louis Armstrong as well. Yeah. I'll go with Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong, solid answer. You nailed it right there. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining us, and being a part of this and talking about this. And just, it's such an exciting thing that you're doing with this Create Together. It's so cool to see it bringing people together like this. For you, anything else that you want to let people know, maybe if there's somebody out there that wants to create that may be apprehensive, like you were with drawing, they're like, okay, I'm not very good at drawing. What would you tell them, to get over that hump?
Yeah, I mean, besides just coming to hit record, come to our site, download our app. I think what I would tell them is, don't focus on the likes or the followers or even the finished thing. Don't worry about that. I know that for me, in my life, I've been fortunate enough to be in a lot of different, creative projects, and it's never the finished thing that makes me happy. They're not the happiest. It's not when you go to the premiere or when you get reviews or you see the box office, like none of that is actually, all that's more nerve-wracking for me anyway. What's beautiful, what's fun, what's like makes me so grateful to be an artist is the doing of it, and being on the set, being with other people, figuring it out, being challenged, being like, no, we're going to do this. Okay. And then you do it. And you're like, we did it. And you go into that focused place where, you're just focused so hard on what you're doing that like you're not worried about any of those other things. You're not worried about who's gonna like it or how many followers you're gonna get. Like if you can get to that place where you're just focused on the joy of doing it, that you're on the right track. So that's, I guess that would be if there's a piece of advice for someone who wants to do something creative, like don't worry about any of the other stuff. Just focus on the doing it.
Fantastic. Inspiring, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh,
thank you so much. I appreciate you being on here too and joining us here for Digital Trends Live. And again, create together, go there, hitrecord.com, join in with everything that they're doing. And I can't wait to watch the show to see what you come together with this. And thanks so much for being here on Digital Trends Live today.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt right here on Digital Trends Live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it. We've got more on the way. Back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. It is Monday, which means it's time for another edition of awesome tech you can't buy yet, because there is still a lot of really cool and interesting crowdfunding campaigns that are going on right now. And to talk us through those, through three of them at least, we have our own Drew Prindle, who is on the line. Drew, it's always interesting, whatever these are. I don't get to see a lot of them beforehand. You spend hours and hours researching these. So, Drew, I want you to go ahead and tell us, as we walk through here. There we go. We got Drew Prindle here. We're live, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Drew, tell us, what is this first one that we want to talk about here?
All right. So I think we should start off this week the same way that I feel like it's appropriate to start off any good day, which is talking about coffee. So there's this thing on Kickstarter this week called
And hey, did I mention that we're live? Sometimes that happens with the internet. So Drew leaving us with the epic tease there about coffee. So I've got the list here. I'll wait till we can get him back up on the line again. But I can't talk about this one, so I'll have to spoil it for myself here as I read it. So this is the Sonic Dutch, where you can make cold brew coffee in 5 minutes. That's pretty amazing when we talk about cold brew coffee, and what that can do. So I believe that we've got him back on. When we do, we'll let you know. So here it is. Again, taking a look here. It's everybody likes cold brew, but it takes too long to make. It's too hard. You can do it in 5 minutes with this one. So this is a Kickstarter that is started. It is more than 2.5 times funded. It's from a company called Sonic Dutch. But again, 5 minutes with innovative sound wave technology. So this is how they're getting it done, is with sound waves, which sounds pretty high tech, and actually it's kind of cool. So Sonic Dutch, it takes a liter of cold brew, and then while you're playing your music, the vibration technology will create the coffee itself. That's pretty cool. So it's multifunctional. That's why it's Sonic Dutch. Extractable in 5 minutes. It's cold. It says it'll make cold brew in 1.5 songs. So 1.5 songs with your Bluetooth connection, and you'll be able to get that made. That's kind of cool. So again, Sonic Dutch here for awesome tech you can't buy yet. And going through. All right, we got Drew back. Drew, I just walked through what Sonic Dutch was, but let's. That does sound pretty badass. I like the idea that you can just listen to music and have cold brew coffee made. But let's go on to the next one here. What is the next one that you'd like to bring up?
So yeah, let's see here. I've already forgotten. Oh yeah, the timer. Let's talk about this thing, Tick Time. So another thing that's been on my mind a lot lately is like time management. You know, because everything's happening from home. It's kind of hard to balance like work and life and stay productive and all of that stuff. The best way I can describe this thing is it's like it's kind of like the 21st century hourglass. So, you know, an hourglass, there are no buttons or anything on it that you have to press in order for it to start working. You just flip it over and it starts, you know, a timer. This is that, but kind of redesigned for the modern era. So instead of sand, it's completely digital. It also has a bunch of accelerometers and stuff in it, so it can tell when it's sitting on one of its 6 sides. So it's got a number on each one of those. And if you just flip it so that number is facing up, that's the timer starts with that many minutes on it. And then, you know, to turn it off, you just flip it up, and it's got a couple other buttons on there so you can customize things. But I thought it was just a really neat, simple timing device that would come in handy in times like this where, you know, breaking up your day into very predictable chunks of time would be very helpful.
Yeah, I do like this. I wonder, you know, obviously you could do all of that on your phone anyway, but it does look cool. And judging by this, I'm taking a look here. So this is Tick Time. The funding, they had a $1,290 flexible goal. They now have $178,000 funded. So it sounds like a lot of people kind of want this. It's kind of a cool looking gadget. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's got like you said, a modern hourglass, like a modern stopwatch.
Totally. I think the cool thing about this is, unlike an app on your phone or the one that I try and fail to use in my browser, is that it's always there. Like if you have it on your desk, it's always in your line of sight. It's not buried in some app drawer that you can it's not easy to forget about if it's physically there on your desk. And I think that's part of the appeal here.
And it does look cool. I mean, I gotta go. Yeah. Gotta say that. So, all right,
that's
Tick Time. We got the Sonic Dutch cold brew coffee. Yeah, totally. All right, and then what is the final one here that we want to cover?
Let's see here. I have already forgotten my list. Where did it go?
Oh, I'll tell you what it is. It's the Mendy Real Brain Training. Yeah. So a smart headband. So what does this thing do?
Yes. So do you remember this app that came out a few years ago called Lumosity? It was that brain training app. Like you could basically play games and supposedly those would help you like focus, all of that stuff. So that company, they ended up getting sued for like, you know, deceptive advertising practices from having paid $2 million. But that's beside the point. Basically what I'm trying to say here is that this device is the same idea, but just executed a little bit better. First of all, they're not deceptively advertising, and they're not going to get sued by the FTC, probably. And second of all, it has a brainwave reading headband that pairs with the app. So instead of you just playing games and hoping like, yeah, this is good for my brain, you can actually see live in real time how your brain is responding to these various games. You actually control the games with your brainwave. So if you're focusing really well, you'll be improving at the game, or if you want to maybe de-stress or just calm down, do some meditation or something, there's a game that's paired to that, basically the brainwaves that would be coming out when you're doing that thing. So yeah, basically you're getting real-time feedback instead of just playing it on a game and hoping for the best.
That's kind of fascinating and also a little bit unnerving at the same time. But I'm gonna guess that it works pretty well, because this is the Mendy real brain training for home use. I've tried out one of the VR ones before that's a different company, and it was pretty interesting to see where your brain waves go and just how it's able to track that. But I think for all of us right now, probably this isn't that bad a one, because I can take a look here at the funding. They wanted $50,000 was their goal. They now have $800,000. So it sounds like a lot of people are stressed out and want to figure out ways to solve that. So that is the Mendy right there as part of Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet. And yeah, would you get this one? Have you tried this out?
I would try it out. I don't know if I would buy it. I have a different brainwave reading thing. It doesn't have any games linked to it, but I've honestly have not found that like tracking your brainwaves to be particularly good, because I feel like I can't do anything about them. Like I can see it and be like, wow, I was really not focused at all right there. Cool. I don't know what to do with that information. Like I don't know how to change it. So maybe this would help because it has games and you can kind of train yourself. The straight monitoring your brainwaves hasn't been doing much for me. So I guess my answer is yes. I would be into this because it has a gaming element.
All right. Well, if everybody out there wants to take a look at this too, we do have Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet there at digitaltrends.com. You can go through all the different projects that Drew has scoured the internet for and take a look at those and decide for yourself if you want them. Definitely interesting things, though. It's good to see that products are still moving along and still happening despite everything else that's going on. That's why that's a really cool section and a cool thing to talk about. Drew Prindle, as always, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you being on the show and letting us know about all this. All right, that is Drew Prindle, again, for Awesome Tech You Can't Buy It. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. We do broadcast live here every weekday, and we know that you're all working from home right now, and we are here for you, though, regardless, no matter when you're back in the office or here. And that's why we want you to hit that subscribe button. Thanks to Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Kevin Alejandro, too, joining us here today. If you want to replay that, feel free. We've got it all at digitaltrends.com. Taking a look at tomorrow, we got another big day. So we've got Winnie Sun. We'll be back here from Sun Group Wealth Partners to talk about finances during this. It's some great advice. Winnie's the expert at this. And as part of our new segment here, our recurring segment just debuted last week, Who's Got Game with Full Screen, we're going to have I'm really excited about this, Brian Barczyk, who is a reptile handler. He's been working full-time for 32 years. His YouTube channel is dedicated to reptile handling. We're going to be talking to him as well, and about that. I mean, that's fascinating. So this is the thing about this show. Every day it's something different. Every day you get something really interesting to either start your day off or watch it mid-morning or watch it later on demand, wherever you are. We appreciate it, and that's why I want to say hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everybody out there who's watching, and we'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.